Hey Maths Legends, today you're going to be able to use grid references to describe locations on a map. Now, do you reckon that the battleship champion of the world ever just woke up one morning and just dominated all his opponents? Well, no. They had to learn about grid references and how to describe them to their enemy and how to read them on their actual game board. So that's what we're going to be doing today. All right, so let's have a look at what we need to do by the end of this lesson to be successful at being able to use map references and grid references. Now, the first thing you're going to need to know is which one is the x-axis and which one is the y-axis. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to give you a couple of little things as well. We have to be able to read the x coordinates before the y coordinates. So whenever we're reading or we're writing, we know that x goes before the y. We'll talk a bit more about that later as well. I'm able to find locations on a map using reference points, and I can give reference points to describe a location as well. So not a lot of things we need to do, but a couple of really key points there. Here's an example right now of a map, and you can see here that we have our x-axis. Now, the best way to remember our x-axis, I'm going to write x here, axis, is a little tip. X is a cross. Now, we know that x is a cross, but x goes across as well. So the x-axis goes across the bottom like so. Now, we know that you always have to read the x-axis before the y. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that, to remember that. First one is, in the alphabet, x comes before y. Another thing that you can hear is you've got to be able to crawl before you can walk. So you have to be able to go across before you can go up. Now that would mean that this other axis over here would be the y-axis. There it is, the y-axis. Now, whenever we are looking at grids and we're reading a grid system, we start off and it might be, let's say, C1. So what we do is we go to our C first. Here's our C. And we're going to draw an arrow up from the C. Now you can't really see that, so I'm going to change my color. Maybe I'll use green. That's a little bit better. There's our green. And if I said C1, I go find the 1, and I go across as well. Now, where those two lines meet, which is this square here, is the grid reference point C1. Try another one, so I'll get a different color. Maybe I'll try purple. If, let's say, it was E5, I find E first, because remember, we always do our y-axis, x-axis before our y-axis, and we go up. We find our 5, and we go across. The square that they both meet at, that is our square E5. Now, here's a couple of examples, and we're going to work through these ones together. Now, there's two different things that we have to be able to do when we're looking at grid references. We're going to have to be able to find a location if a grid reference is given to us, and we're going to be able to have to give a grid reference of a location to tell somebody else. So let's have a look at the first one. It says, what item is at E2? So I'm going to get my red pen out. I'm going to find E. I'm going to find 2. I'm going to go up. I'm going to go across, and I'm going to find the square they both meet. I can see it is the crown. So in that case, we're given the grid reference, and we have to say what is in that location. Now the second one here, what is the grid reference for the coin? It's the opposite. We know that we have to look for the coin. Here's my coin up here, and I have to find the grid reference for that. So let's have a look. I'm going to go all the way down to the x-axis first, and I can see it's B, so let's write B. Then I'm going to go all the way across to my y-axis. I can see that it is 5, and I'm going to write that down. And my grid reference for the coin is B5. Now, really important again, my first reference point is my x-axis. My second one is my y-axis. Now remember, x is across, so x goes across the page. The y-axis is the other one. Keep remembering those. Okay, we're going into our ones where you're going to do it. So you're going to stop the video in a minute and you're going to have a go. I've given you 2 where I give you the grid references and you have to write down what's in that location. And I've given 2 where you have something you have to find and you have to give me the grid location. Now remember again, x goes across, Remember, x-axis always gets written first. In this case, it would be the letter before the number. Have a go, guys, and I'll come back and we'll check them out. All right, let's have a look. What item is a D for? Well, here we go. Here's my D. Here is my 4. Let's go across, bam. Let's go across, bam. Here's where they meet. I can see that it is the treasure. So let's put treasure. Okay, what item is it A for? Here is A. There is 4. Let's go up. Let's go across here. And it is a diamond. Let's put diamond. A diamond. All right, now we know with these ones, I'm going to change my color pen here. I'm going to change it to a purple. We're going to look for something and then give the grid references. So the goblet. Now the goblet is here. I'm going to go down to the x-axis. Remember, x goes across first. I've got B. And then I'm going to go across to the y-axis and I've got a 2. Remember, my x-axis always comes first, so B2. What is the grid reference for the bottle? Let's have a look for the bottle. Here is my bottle. Let's go down. I've got an F. Let's go across this way, and we find 1. So F1. All right, guys, you've just learned how to do grid referencing. A couple of things to remember again. X goes across. You have to crawl before you can walk. Always put your x-axis before your y-axis. See you in class.